Hello, my name is Monique Diop, and one day I was in a Facebook group just minding my own business. I made a comment about something, and next thing I know, I am getting called out to read 3 pages within a book. So, this is something that's going on. It's called Leaders Are Readers. Leaders Are Readers. Pound sign, hashtag. Leaders Are Readers. And I was called out by this guy who started this called King Leon. So I'm going to read a passage of the book here. It's an autobiography by the Mayor for Life, MarionBarry Jr. So it's written by MarionBarry Jr., but also in a collaboration with Omar Tyree. So I'm going to read chapter 17, and of course it's entitled Mayor for Life. The 1994 race was the toughest of my political career. There were two formidable candidates, an incumbent mayor and a popular council member who had run for mayor. I had been out of prison for 2 years at this point. We campaigned all over the city, but my focus was on the black vote. At first, I didn't go to any forums. People often had their minds made up about their candidates. John Ray and Mayor Kelly stopped going, and then I started going. If politicians don't come see you before the elections, they definitely won't come see you after the elections. They come out occasionally, but then I had already gained momentum. Mayor Kelly thought she had the black middle class on her side, but I knew better. Perception was that she was aloof. She had Jack Kent Cooke, the owner of the Washington Redskins, leave Washington and move the team to Landover, Maryland. Additionally, there was a feeling that she was not in touch or in tune with the black middle class. In terms of campaigning, we campaigned hard all over the city. I knew the media followed me, so I did everything. Putting up posters, walking in the neighborhood, knocking on doors, and the people embraced me. Members of my coalition from 1978 were still intact on their support for me, and I was even stronger in 1994 than I was in 1978, particularly with the labor unions. Unions had been shifting since 1982 and continued to shift from the candidates. The Washington Teachers Union Local 6 was my strongest supporter. The WTU endorsed me in 1978 in every election that I had had because the Washington Teachers Union and the teachers knew how much I cared about young people and demonstrated youth jobs. I had been in and out of schools pushing for education reforms, pushing for raises, particularly teachers, fire, and police. My other strong union supporter was the Service Unions International Union, SEIU, AFSCME, as well as Josh Williams, the president of the Central Labor Council, which included over 70 unions in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. He had been a great supporter of mine for over the years. Besides, I supported most of the issues important to labor. When Reverend John Hamilton Jr. was an associate minister at several D.C. churches, wanted to put together a campaign for a new run for mayor in 1994. We did a poll of the three main candidates and found that Sharon Pratt Kelly had only 13% of the votes. I had 29%, and Councilmember John Ray had 35%. So we knew we were within reach of winning a fourth election. My wife, Cora, suggested that we register 20,000 new voters in areas where residents typically didn't vote. Usually when you lack hope, you don't vote. So we wanted to give them something hopeful to vote for again and make them thankful that I plan to bring back community politics to Washington. We figured that I could get at least 15,000 of those new votes in our campaign. We called the new campaign Unfinished Business. In our new slogan, we stated, "He may not be perfect, but he's perfect for DC." We knew that we would have a lot of talk about me serving time in prison for drug possession and all that. So we decided that we would beat the media to the punch and just put my past issues out front. There was no sense in us trying to run away from it. I was cleaned up with no more drinking or drug habits, and I did not feel vulnerable. I managed to drink a little wine every now and then in moderation, but that was it. When we began to campaign again for mayor, after already serving 12 years in the position, we had some wonder why we had not worked to prepare the next wave of Washington leadership in the community and in city politics. They said I was holding on too long because I had nothing else to do and it was getting in the way of us moving forward. Did the city need new energy and new leadership? Yes, I felt so too. But the new vision simply wasn't there. If the new vision and leadership was there, it would have surfaced and presented itself. I didn't have time to bicker with people calling for new leadership. I wanted to continue the work that I considered myself born to do. My public service to the people of the District of Columbia remains a calling. When incumbent Mayor Sharon Pratt Kelly found out that I was running for mayor against her, she was pissed. As pissed as Calvin Rowland was when I ran against his wife for the Ward 8 council seats. I guess Mayor Kelly thought I was going to stay out of the way and remain on the council, but I saw new opportunities as the mayor. I believe Sharon Pratt Kelly knew that I still had a lot of love and support from the community, at least enough to be elected again. Some people didn't think that I had the tenacity to come back. Others thought that I shouldn't. They wanted me to go away and retire from politics altogether. But I wasn't coming back to do the city any harm. I still felt that I had a lot of good and I had a lot of management experience to offer. I had already apologized to the community and taken responsibilities for my actions, but I was never taking responsibilities for being set up. I paid my debt to society, and I was no longer plagued by the bad decisions or my addictions. I was ready to come back and serve the people with a clear conscience. I was too knowledgeable and I cared too much about the citizens of Washington not to run for mayor. I was convinced after my short time as a council member of Ward 8, the new business development, schools, constructions, and programs for the poor that I had advocated for in Southeast my first 2 years back on the DC City Council had been phenomenal. I brought a powerful voice and a lot of experience to Ward 8, and I wanted to bring the same voice and experience back to the core of government. And by the grace of God, we went on to win the Democratic primaries with 47% of the vote to John Ray's 30% and Sharon Pratt Kelly's 13%. And I was halfway there to my return to office. My victory in the primary shocked the nation, but it didn't shock me. After the video of the Vista Hotel, there were still naysayers who believed that I would never run again, let alone win. There were newspaper articles from the Boston Globe on the East Coast to the LA Times on the West. After the fallout on the Vista and the following trial, I didn't expect to be able to generate much support from the white voters. I was very surprised to win a large enough percentage of the white vote in the Democratic primaries to carry a victory. That showed that I still had a significant amount of support from many of the white, gay, lesbian communities as well as the white business community. I also did very well in Ward 4, the middle-class Black community, which I expected Sharon Pratt Kelly and John Ray to carry. I did well winning 18 of 19 precincts. The only precinct I didn't win was Mayor Kelly's precinct, number 62, where she lived. The Black middle class understood how much I had done to open up levels of employment. I had created job opportunities not only for the poor, but for higher management and professional workers in the community. In fact, during my 3 terms, I focused on challenges facing the poor. I focused on strengthening the Black community, the Black middle class, including creating job opportunities. I believe my track record for getting things done in office made me like a gladiator in Rome. I was that successful at pulling in the people whenever I ran for office. I also received much support from Ward 5, where Black retirees live, some parts of Ward 6, and certainly all of Ward 7 and 8. But the Washington Post no longer endorsed me for a 4th term. But it really didn't matter. The Washington Post editorial board didn't register well with the Black community. It helped Carol Schwartz pick up some white Democrat voters. They endorsed Carol, helping her win 42% of the general election. Nevertheless, I won 56% of the mayor's office of Washington once again. It was an unbelievable victory. All right, so that is it. Once again, Mayor for Life by the Honorable MarionBarry Jr. and with collaboration of Omar Tyree. So after this is said and done, I'm supposed to be calling out 5 people. So here's my 5. Okay, of course I'm going to call out my niece. Paris Benson. What you reading, Paris? I know you always got something. And then my other niece, Kennedy. I know it's going to be hard to track you down, but here's your shout out to read 3 pages of a book. Toya McCoy. She always has something in her bookshelf, and she's an avid reader. So what are you reading? Tell us. Let us know. Let's see. We need a man. Marcus Hughes, young, progressive, leader. Leaders are readers, and that's definitely Marcus. So Marcus, what are you reading? Enlighten us. And the last one, I think I'm going to go with someone on Facebook that I really don't know, but I just know off of Facebook. Kimberly Kenmore, North Carolina gal. She's pretty funny. So I just want to know what are the things that, float your boat. So once again, this is Monique Diop, and # leaders are readers. I will see you on the other side of the screen. Thank you. Have a good night.